But, on a personal side note too, I think, I've mentioned to you before, if you're carrying pain, it follows you everywhere. And I think for me personally, I was one of those people. I'd rather be anywhere but Decatur.
Right.
I mean, and I even moved away for a while, and then I came back. But I also don't think it was a reflection of Decatur. I think it was a reflection of my heart.
This is going to be a wild one, I can tell. All right. Hey, everybody. This is Chris Harrison with another episode of the Main Points Podcast. Today, I've got Cassy and Ndembe, and she is our writer and producer here for the podcast.
Yes. Thanks for having me, Chris.
And so many people are asking me now, like, so you're doing a podcast. What's it about? And I really think this is a good idea for us each to kind of open up a little bit of our background, kind of our history here, why Decatur means so much to us, and really why we're investing in this podcast. Because this is something that when we met, we didn't know each other before.
Yeah.
And we just came together and said, wow, you think that way? We feel similarly. So it's really a lot of fun. So as the writer and producer, Cassy, where are we starting with this?
I was hoping to start maybe where and how we both came to Decatur. Make that connection point for us, right? Because I was born in Decatur. I've been here a while, and I know that you came here later on in life. Mm-hmm. So even how we view Decatur and the history, there's a little different.
Sure. Yeah. How I got here, freshly out of college, I was working with a sales company, and I actually had family in Kansas City that I was living with, and the company had a sales position in Decatur that opened up. Mm. And the family that I lived with had additional family in Effingham.
Okay.
And so there was some connection to Central Illinois and some understanding of Illinois. And even at the time, this would have been 2001.
Okay.
I shouldn't say even at the time, but I didn't know what was happening in Decatur at the time. I didn't really care either. But a family member did say, Decatur? Are you sure about that? There's other places to go.
Yeah.
And I've found and I've learned about myself. One, I do evaluate opportunities and I evaluate situations, but I'm also very decisive. Mm. And once I make a decision, I go for it. And I've learned that every situation I'm in is because of a decision I've made, good and bad sometimes. So that was really my first impression of Decatur was, really? Are you sure that's where you're going to go? Yeah.
If that was your impression, what was it in that decision making that tipped the scales for you to choose here then?
Opportunity.
Just
purely business opportunity.
Okay.
As a 22-year-old at the time, I actually moved here, and I was with that company for less than a year actually, and then got into banking. But I had an apartment on Main Street, right near downtown. And I would joke, I would go to work, I would come home, park my car, and walk to the bars downtown.
Okay.
Because that was the responsible thing to do. And I was living downtown.
Right.
And it was a new, fresh town. I grew up in the country. I grew up on a farm.
So Decatur was a big town for you then?
It really was,
okay.
Yeah. And I'd spent time in Kansas City and St. Louis, and I'd been in the city, but I wasn't a city guy. That wasn't really what I wanted. So It was a big town for me. Absolutely.
What was your first impressions the first 3 to 5 years you were here?
I don't know. I just did my thing. I was in my bubble. I started getting involved in the community, got involved in the Chamber of Commerce, and went to business after hours, which is what I think 20-year-old professionals should do, because you get free drinks from 5 to 7, and you go to the next bar until 1 in the morning. And through that, I built relationships and friendships, and met my wife here. And, we had all those fun times too. And it's where I settled down. and really even at a young age of coming here, there's always the dream of, oh, we want to move south, or oh, we want to move to the mountains, or someday we want to live in, near the beach or whatever. But there was never a serious like, hey, let's put in job applications because this isn't meeting our needs. From a quality of life, from a cost of living, we've always been very comfortable and really always enjoyed it here.
Yeah. It also sounds like even at a young age of coming here, there is intentionality around connecting, around getting involved, coworkers, different things. And that has to make a big difference.
It does. And it did, really, because those are friendships that I still have now that, if I need something, I know who to call now.
Right.
So, and that's honestly a network of, I don't even want to say network because I think that's been trivialized, but it is a network of just friends that I know who to go to if I need help with something.
Yeah.
So that's important.
That's an interesting perspective. I like that. I was born in Decatur. My dad was a fireman in Decatur.
Okay.
When I was around 10, the residency clause within the fire department changed.
Okay.
And you were allowed to move outside the city limits.
Okay.
So my dad and mom, we moved to Nyack.
Okay.
Got big old 100-year-old farmhouse, renovated it, all the stuff.
And was there a reason? Was there a draw? Was there a we got to get out of Decatur? Was that a trend or a feeling? Or
I think back then, my dad always liked the country life.
Okay.
He and I will say that it was twofold, right?
Sure.
We always laugh because even in a day and age where you could have internet and cable, he still didn't want it in his house.
I don't need that.
Right. So he liked the quiet. He liked the country. But I do think there was a bit of a narrative of not just hard on Decatur. They both grew up in Decatur, graduated in high school from Decatur. Okay. My dad is a MacArthur graduate, and my mom, it was Lakeview back in the day.
Okay.
It's not open anymore. But there was always kind of a narrative just around, if you can get out of Decatur, you should take the opportunity.
What was it, get out of Decatur, or was it more get to the country, more of that idea that raising a family and raising kids in the country is more of a wholesome environment? Do you have a sense for that?
I think that, like I said, I think it was twofold. I do think it was both. Because there would be conversations around that. My dad and mom were very big into raising us with chores, fewer electronics, responsibility, that quiet life, that kind of a thing.
Fewer electronics 25 years ago. What did that even mean?
It meant that we had like 4 stations on our TV if the wind blew well that day. You know what I mean? But I would say there is also, I think as a kid or even as a teenager growing up, if Decatur got brought up, it wasn't a positive narrative, like if you get what I mean. I say this example, I know someone, they would talk about Decatur schools as if it was this terrible place. But if you asked them, they never had kids in Decatur schools. Like you know what I mean? Just kind of that no skin in the game, but kind of a skewed perspective of what was really happening. And to be honest, I wasn't a part of the school district either back then. So there might have been some merit, but it wasn't what we're kind of seeing today of, do you realize the opportunity, the progress, the programs, the things that are happening of people wanting to invest in Decatur, what is actually here. It was almost like a tape player stuck on repeat from the 1980s for some reason that couldn't get shifted in some people's minds, if that makes sense.
Why do you think that's changed? What do you think? I know it's not something has changed, but what over time or what in people's perceptions helps people see the positives and the opportunities now. And the naysayers are still there.
Oh,
They're
sure.
still being in real estate. I get people and they call, I want outside Decatur. I want to be in Decatur.
Oh, right.
But generally speaking, I think a lot of the people that we see and encounter now, can look past, some of the negatives that are here.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is perspective change. And I think it's what you can tend to focus on. But I also think the ratio needs to tip from naysayers to investors, and whenever that ratio can tip and you're hearing more, you're seeing more, you're connecting more, then that begins to tip inside of you. And, some things changed whenever I became, an adult, a wife, a mother, a business owner. But, on a personal side note too, I think, I've mentioned to you before, if you're carrying pain, it follows you everywhere. And I think for me personally, I was one of those people. I'd rather be anywhere but Decatur.
Right.
I mean, and I even moved away for a while, and then I came back. But I also don't think it was a reflection of Decatur. I think it was a reflection of my heart. And people need to understand that too a little bit. So I don't know if that answers your question, because it's kind of complex and a little bit of all angles.
Well, to simplify it, it's the old adage, the grass is green where you water it.
Right.
And it's what you make of it. But I think another point in there is the tipping the scales of the naysayers versus the yaysayers, and how people are hearing things and seeing things and consuming things. That's what this podcast is about.
Right.
And that's what this whole communication platform, not just the podcast.
Right.
The messaging is informing people and communicating and, kind of pulling the curtains back a little bit to who the people of Decatur really are.
Right. And what are you talking about? Getting to the heart of the matter.
Right.
Because people connect to substance. And if you're wanting to build connection and ownership, trying to foster those substance and those connection points. And I think within the show, one of the things that really stood out to my husband and I whenever we started meeting with you was you weren't a naysayer of Decatur.
Right.
Because sometimes you can run into a lot of those, but also we loved that there was an opportunity to create a shift in perspective and culture around our city and around our community and around some things that are happening. And hopefully showing people that we have a pretty great community, but you got to roll your sleeves up, so to say, and get your skin in the game.
Right.
Because no community is going to be perfect.
Right.
And no community is going to answer all of your needs and have the perfect everything. But if we're able to really connect community and begin working with each other, I think the place can become even better.
And the connecting community is just connecting people, getting people to understand who some of these business owners are, who some of these thought leaders are, who some of these professional leaders are, whatever that position is, and understand, somebody may have a title of chief or executive or manager or whatever. They're all just residents here too.
Right.
They're all just part of this community, and they just want this community to thrive and strive and do well. And connecting those people, it's always interesting as I rose in business, and you meet a wealthy person, or you meet a highly successful person, and you meet them, and they're like, they're just a normal dude. They're just a cool person.
Right.
Like, and we get so intimidated and we feel that somebody's just really at a different level. They're at a different level. They're not. They're just normal people too.
People are people. And I have found, whenever I was younger, I needed to feel connection with somebody that was like me. Because you want that sense of belonging, right? And you're trying to find your people, so to say. There's this sense of connecting with something that resembles you, that you can see yourself in. So there would be friends that we would be passionate about the same things, have the same interests. And hang on with me here because I am going somewhere. But like the older I've gotten, some of my best friends, it wasn't birthed out of similar interest. It was birthed out of similar hearts. And similar intention. And I think what I love about this show is the different spheres, the different people, the different titles, the different places. They're all different flavors.
Right.
And we may be more interested in business than we are government, or we may be more interested in education than we are over here. But I think whenever you see a common thread of a heart, of an intention, then you begin to see yourself in those places. Right. And you begin to see that I can connect with them. They're a part of my team, right? Because it doesn't matter anymore if we have the same album that we like or the same interest or hobby like it did whenever we were younger.
Right.
Right.
When you said connect to people like me, and I think what's interesting is as we've opened up about kind of first impressions or first ideas about what's this show going to be and what do we want to be and where does it want to go, not even what do we want to be. I want to share how I first came in and basically needed somebody to record a podcast. I needed the technical aspects of it, and I've heard that Rich is awesome. I've seen what he's done, and he is absolutely. Shout out to Rich back there in the studio there. But I came in and met with him, and when he realized my podcast was not going to be about real estate and stats and interest rates and that, then there was the more connection of the heart.
Yes.
And with the three of us all coming from different backgrounds, different spheres, different experiences, but understanding we had a thread together. That's what's really interesting. And from what I understand, he called you and said, hey, you need to talk to this now. So that's really fun. And I think for our viewers to know like kind of how this came together, I don't want to say it's by accident. It was more just by like, that thread of a common theme finally connected. Right.
Because even back to what I was saying, on the surface, I don't have any experience with real estate. I don't have any background or knowledge or any of those things to connect with you on that level, But I think whenever, Rich was the first one to take the meeting with you because we had a mutual friend that connected, said that you were looking into a podcast. We were kind of indifferent, not sure where it might lead. Because you were in real estate, probably assuming it was about real estate and, just wasn't really interested in a real estate podcast.
Right.
But whenever he had met with you and, heard your heart around community and wanting to invest in Decatur, and I'll never forget when we were in your office, one of the things that you said, because you were talking about like targeted audience. And you said something along the lines, and I won't quote you exactly, but it was something along the lines of, all the people that says Decatur sucks, that's not us.
I do remember that meeting. You kicked off your shoes and got comfortable, and we ran way over.
Yeah. But it was just so funny to me because I remember thinking, okay, like I can get down with him because I've known a lot of people in my life that have really ragged on Decatur and still do, unfortunately.
Sure.
But there was a heart of like, whoever isn't that's where we're going for. Right. If you want to be a part of this city and build something, that's who we're targeting here.
And if you think it sucks, well, you suck. Get away. Sorry. How's that for bias?
There you go.
Yeah.
But that, like you said, it was just that common thread of realizing like you may not be into film or video or production. I may not be into real estate, and our paths may not cross with these things, but we have an ownership in this, and we have a similar heart of wanting to create a thriving place.
Right.
And bringing that together.
So talk to us a little bit about, you've given me a lot of vision into how this is more than a podcast. This is an ecosystem, an informational outlet. I say often we're not a calendar of events podcast.
Right.
We're more community and people driven. But how do you view the entire ecosystem, or explain that to us again?
So the vision with the ecosystem is ever evolving, but we wanted to create where the podcast could be a catalyst for hopefully some shift in culture and narrative. And in order to do that, you need a lot of threads, you need a lot of streams, you need a lot of different forms of communication, right? And so the ecosystem was using Main Points as a place to celebrate local business owners on our social media platforms, on sharing information, on educating the public around different programs or platforms or opportunities that they may not know are there, which we would also be using our different platforms, connections, and doing those things for, where we're elevating, hence the celebrate, educate, and elevate, but we're elevating the events going on, the places where families and people can connect. So then it isn't only hosting purposeful conversations, but it's also getting resources into the hands of the community as well, where they are understanding local business owners, how to celebrate that, pour into our entrepreneurs, pour into local, get connected with the program, see what you may need, how you can volunteer, what you can take opportunities in, or even just the fun events. We have a beautiful quality of life ecosystem around this city.
Right.
And so our heart with the ecosystem was that the conversation could be a catalyst to shifting perspective, but also to be able to get resources in front of people for places of connection.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And one of the things that we loved about you, Chris, was you kind of ran with us.
There's times I'm like, whoa. Let me catch up here. But I'm with you.
Talking about that similar heart, there was such a synergy of allowing each of us to kind of run with our ideas. Because I know originally whenever we met, it was around a podcast show. But I think it's evolved into more of that, and it's evolving into even more. But there was such this, all right, like, let's do it.
Right.
How can we make this bigger and more awesome? And what else do we need?
Right. Right. You mentioned it being the catalyst and helping bring resources to the community. You said a word in there of streams, and I don't know if you meant for it to be streams, but I think an important thing that we're trying to do is really to get more people consuming our content.
Oh yes.
We've been talking about marketing and how do we get ourselves out there, and do we create and I will continue to say, like, we've got a ton of great content that people haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
And people don't know about. And so what I think it's important that we keep working on is, how do we keep bringing back that content? Because everything that we've done, in a sense, is timeless. Again, because it's not a calendar of events. The event's not done. It's more about why people are doing things and why programs are there. So I do want to put one call to action out there is, to anyone that's watching this now, like, tell somebody about this, share it, like it, subscribe. I hate saying it, but like when my daughter first got into YouTube, it was smash that like button below, like, whatever we can do to get more people seeing us, hearing us, and really come along in the journey, because this is a journey. I mean, this isn't a season. This is a mission that we're on, really.
Right. Hopefully creating a movement people can jump on, right? And I think whenever you take that time to like it, to share it, to listen, to interact with us, etc., you're coming along for that movement. Because the more people we can get on this movement,
right,
of celebrating, educating, and elevating Decatur, the more we're investing in our city.
Absolutely.
From multiple ways.
Right.
Multiple areas, all the things.
So what should our listeners, viewers, followers, what will they see more of in the future from Main Points?
Right. I am very excited with what we're creating currently for the year 2025. We have a whole new batch of episodes with amazing guests that, we're talking about the police department, economic development, mental health, education, all sorts of things that I think are just so pivotal, and not only pivotal, but pillars to a community, really. I am excited because we're creating a lot of content around local businesses now and programs that you guys can get connected with, log in to take advantage of. We're beginning to slowly create that ecosystem.
Yep.
So then we can get momentum with it. And I love just seeing the potential of really where hope can take us. Because I think when perspective shifts, hope is introduced, and where there's hope, you can dream, and then you can create whatever you want.
Right.
And I'm excited about what we can create from that place.
Absolutely. Even in just our session and preparing for this, we threw out a topic that we're like, that's another session, and we could go we could have a whole nother conversation and show about just that alone. So it really is interesting how this has become the catalyst, and it's providing resources. Just on my way in here, I grabbed a drink from one of the small businesses that we promoted last week. So, and how understanding how marketing works and multi-channel marketing, I think is, we're all learning because it's all changing.
Right.
As a society, we're changing. How we consume things are changing. It's not all just social media. It's not all just digital. I mean, we've ran a billboard for this. We've printed coffee cups. Like, we're doing giveaways. Like, this really is the ecosystem. I hate to overuse that, but it really is just a system of what we're doing and building, all for telling the story about Decatur.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing.
So, Chris, if I could flip it, what are some things that you have grown to love and admire about Decatur that you'd love for people to know more about?
Just how dedicated people are to what they do, whether it be the professionals, the ones with the titles. We talk about the director, the chief, the manager, the executive. That yes, they're normal people. They go to the grocery store, they do their laundry, they do their dishes, just like everybody else does.
Right.
But they're so focused and committed on what they do. On what their profession is, whether it be their business or their profession. Just they care so much for the people that are in their department, in their company, in their organization. They care for their people, their clients, their customers, and that's just what's unique to see. I spend my time going, nobody understands me, and nobody works as hard as I do, and nobody gets it, and then all of a sudden you look around and you're like, he gets it, she gets it, they get it. Like, everybody is fully committed to what they're doing, and to them, the contribution that their organization has on the community is what makes the community as a whole what it is.
Yeah. I like that. And what I'm hearing you say is that something that you really admire, if I can kind of paraphrase it, there's personal and intentional with professional here, right? Because you can get professional in business in a lot of areas, in a lot of cities, all over the place. But there's a different sense that I'm hearing from you where it's personal, it's relational, there's intentionality here with even that interpersonal connection within businesses, within community events,
right,
from place to place with those things.
We don't have job hoppers here.
Yeah.
The chief of police has been here for 29 years. He's been in Decatur. We got city managers retiring and staying in Decatur. I see city employees that are retired, still in Decatur.
Yeah.
Our new city manager moved away, came back. All these people that they're not here for the job. They're not here for the career progression. They're here because this is the community that they want to be part of, and what they do for whatever agency, organization, or company they're in is, and their passion makes that organization so great. Again, that's what makes the community what it is.
I love that. I like that a lot.
Just made it up. It just happened. How about that? Did you get that?
Well, what are you looking forward to in this next season of Main Points?
I'm honestly looking forward to it. More people noticing it, more traction with it. Because I know we've been working very hard. We've been creating a lot of content that our viewers haven't even seen.
Yeah.
And to me, that's fun too. I used to be the guy like, hey, I got a test tomorrow. Like I gotta go study, or, I've got a project due tomorrow. Time to get started on it. Thankful to you, being as prepared as you are and organized as you are. We're really worked ahead, and we've really done a lot of the work that the community is about to see. And that's exciting. So I hope everybody that's listening says, hey, we better tune in, because there's some good stuff coming. And there really is a lot of good stuff coming, especially as we head into 25. Hey, this has been a ton of fun,
Absolutely.
as I expected. For somebody that's out there and has, what if somebody's new to town? What should they be seeing? What should if someone's new to town, what should their impressions of Decatur be?
That's an interesting question. I would phrase it like this. If you are new to town, I would invite you to see all of the innovation happening, all of the diversity that's present here. And all of the opportunities that the city and the organizations really, really work hard to create for all of the citizens in Decatur. I love that about Decatur, where you have people from all sorts of walks of life and socioeconomic statuses and backgrounds and all, but there's always resources and programs available for you in any area.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's kind of part of the reason what I love about it. But if you're new here, I would invite you to really go to those events, go to those programs, go to those classes, get connected and rub elbows with people. And you'll really realize we've got a lot of amazing people here.
And to piggyback that, I would say seek these people out.
Yeah.
People that you've seen interviewed here, or even us, reach out on our pages, send us messages. We're all about trying to connect with new people. So, Cassy, thank you. This was great. I know we could do this for probably another hour.
Absolutely.
But we want to cut down on Rich's editing just a little bit. So with that, this been a wonderful episode of the Main Points podcast today. Thank you. Obviously, that was a great conversation with Cassy, as I expected. What I really liked was when she talked about how this program is really a catalyst, I think, for the community and for the people in the community to connect them with resources, but more so to connect them to opportunities. This community is full of opportunities, different organizations, different types of people, and really different economic opportunities too. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to the next episode.